The next leg of our trip was through the national parks and monuments of northern Wyoming. We went to Devil's Tower, Yellowstone, and the Grand Tetons.
We had a chance to see an amazing abundance of wildlife, some up close and personal, as you'll see in our videos. And because we had some snow come through the week before, the mountains are so beautiful, covered with snow, and we had some really fun adventures enjoying this wildlife and the landscapes.
We did spend 2 days in Bozeman, Montana, waiting for the storm to go through so we could go into Yellowstone without a lot of rain and snow. And we'll cover Montana on another video. Hope you enjoy this one. Our first stop in northern Wyoming was Devil's Tower National Monument, referred to by the Native Americans as Bear Lodge. It was the first national monument in the United States. We arrived Memorial Weekend, so it was a bit crowded, but the hike around the base of the tower was beautiful.
As we hiked, two things became very apparent. One is that the Native Americans consider this area very sacred and tie prayer cloths and prayer bundles to the trees. There were over 30 mountain climbers ascending on the tower, and they had to be very careful to stay away from the falcons' nesting area. As we left, we drove past Prairie Dog Town, and these two popped up to say goodbye.
We settled into our campsite in Yellowstone, which had a wonderful view.
We saw many waterfalls in Yellowstone. This one is Gibbon Falls. And on the drive out, there were many trees that had fallen over the course of time, and I was intrigued by the root formation on this one.
We were very lucky to see a lot of wildlife in Yellowstone: coyote, elk, bear, and a lot of bison. Because it was spring, we were fortunate to see a lot of baby bison calves. Just yards from our campsite, on a short walk, we came across this bison in the river, taking a drink, and then crossing to the meadows.
We visited the Old Faithful Lodge, which was completed in 1904. It is considered the world's largest log structure. We of course had to watch Old Faithful erupt, which happens every hour, hour and a half, and it goes as high as 100 to 184 feet in the air. This is Blood Geyser, and it's known for the iron oxide in the water that turns the rocks red. There were several paint pots of different colors as we walked along this boardwalked area. This is one of the oldest geysers in Yellowstone. It's the White Domed Geyser. It's interesting to see that even along cold rivers, there's a lot of thermal action going on. We woke up early on our last day to take pictures, and unfortunately the colors didn't come out as vibrant as we hoped. But the day before, we had found this cute little geyser that kept erupting for at least 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden stopped. The show was over.
There is still plenty of snow on Dunraven Pass in northern Yellowstone on our way to Lamar Valley to look for more wildlife. We came across this black bear coming up from a river. We also spotted this bear grazing in a field off the road. This bear was digging for some grubs. After his digging attempt, he started heading right towards us. I had trouble keeping the camera steady while I tried to roll up my window.
This is the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. It's 24 miles long and 1,000 feet deep. The different iron compounds in the soil is what gives it its many shades of red and even the yellows. The lower Yellowstone Falls are 308 feet high, which is twice as high as Niagara Falls. As we left Yellowstone, we came across this frozen lake and a lot more snow. We were lucky to get a beautiful campsite in the Grand Teton National Park that looked right out on the mountains. What an amazing sunset.
One animal we didn't see in Yellowstone was the moose. We were lucky to find this one just a short walk from our campground in the Grand Tetons. Driving back to our campground after hiking in the Tetons, we came across this female moose running along the side of the river. We were surprised after she crossed the river. She came up the riverbank to the road right beside us.
This area is an early settlement called Mormon Row, and the John Moulton Barn is one of the most photographed structures in the park.
This beautiful view of the Tetons is taken from the Grand Teton Lodge patio. Views of the Tetons from the trails around Jenny Lake were stunning.
While driving around the Grand Tetons, Tom and I took a side country road that partially was dirt and ended up at the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. We decided to ride the aerial tram to the summit of Rendezvous Mountain at 10,450 feet. When you walked out of the gondola, you couldn't help but smell waffles. They had a cute little cafe at the top that sat maybe 20 people, and we enjoyed the most delicious waffles. The panorama view from up there was exquisite. Our last morning in the Grand Tetons, we woke up to a blanket of low-lying fog that filled the entire valley.